Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Unfamiliar Shift. And this week, we're focusing on Adventure Boutique. This is a BLLA and StayBoutique production. But first and foremost, for those of you who were here last week, I went through this, but I want to go through it again. It's always good to hear this a million times. What is the definition of boutique? Something everyone asks us. And BLLA, we have come out with this definition. So here it is. It's a business that offers a curated service, product, or experience that is one of a kind. Typically, it has a defined and differentiating point of view and provides a memorable impression due to its distinct approach. Now let's talk about lifestyle. What does the word lifestyle mean? It's the distinguishing way one lives, including the style, attitudes, and possessions of an individual, group, or culture. This is also a BLLA definition. So as many of you know, we changed our name. It's still always BLLA. We can't get rid of those 4 letters. But it went from the Boutique and Lifestyle Lodging Association to the Boutique Lifestyle Leaders Association. So thus, what's the boutique lifestyle? Here it is. It's someone who enjoys a boutique lifestyle and wants a specialized, curated service, product, or experience that reflects their modern values and helps support their lifestyle ideals. This can be a business with cultural impact or category innovation, providing a unique sensorial experience or something that simply makes people's lives better. From environments to new-to-world products and services, the only bounds boutique knows are those of the imagination. So BLLA, really quick recap. I know a lot of you already know all about us. We're the official association for the world's boutique lifestyle leaders. We're the original hub supporting boutique and independent hotels and businesses since 2009. And we value leadership, advocacy, and education. StayBoutique she's like my baby. She is a new brand off of BLLA, and this is what StayBoutique is. We are content curators. We live the best in boutique with our guides, trends, and happenings. We're collaboration connectors, providing the community opportunities to be discovered. And we're connoisseurs of cool. We're a hub for the daring pioneers and businesses in the boutique community. And this cherry that you see on your screen, it's really important that you remember it, because this symbolizes what a boutique hotel and business is and the minds behind it. Why a cherry? Because it means one thing, and that's daring. We are daring to travel the way we do or build amazing experiences the way we do. So just a few key reminders how you can support us. Just follow us, subscribe to our YouTube page, follow us on social media, leave us some comments, just engage with us. And also please put our email in your primary inbox to receive news about our community, the boutique community, info@blla.org and news@boutiqueweekly.com. And last but not least, show that you stand with boutique. Use the hashtags, #BoutiqueStrong and #SaveBoutiqueHotels. So as you know, we're all about community. Community is so important right now. The boutique sector is, has, and always will be a family. Together, we have reinvented what a hotel is, and even through a crisis, we will continue our innovations. And that is why we've started this new series called The Unfamiliar Shift. It is here to showcase great examples of adaptation to what we call the new paradigm in the boutique community. And with that, we have 2 pioneers joining us today. We have Luca Franco, the founder and CEO of Luxury Frontiers, Peter Mack, the founder and CEO of Collective Retreats, and then our amazing co-host, Amy Jakubowski, the founder of AEJ Collective. And I always forget to introduce myself, but I'm Ariela Kiradjian. I am the partner and COO at BLLA and the co-founder of StayBoutique. Welcome, panel. How is everyone?
We're going to ask the audience. Very excited to have another Friday with some amazing minds with us. We have to remind you, do not use the chat feature when asking questions, but we do want you to flood us with questions. But we're going to pose a question to our audience, and we would love for you to send us feedback. Use is it the question content? Yeah, not the chat.
Not the chat.
The Q&A, so that we can actually record it, because we could get a download of all that. So our question that we're going to pose to you is, What is the most offbeat travel that you've experienced, that you've done? We want to know what you have to say on that.
So
So
we'll take those answers and make some cute content out of it.
indeed, indeed. So while we're getting your feedback, we're going to get this running. And I would very much like to have Luca and Peter both introduce themselves. Both of you have committed to providing these most amazing experiential retreats, intense no less, and I know that that's expanding. And you share similar values, but uniquenesses too. So I think to frame up the conversation for the next hour, if you would start by explaining your businesses and what you do.
Yeah, go ahead, Luca.
I was waiting to see who would take it first.
Okay, so first of all, I need to thank you, Ariela and Ami and Boutique. It's really an honor to be here, and thank you for this opportunity, and really to spark ideas and bring some lights to our future and our travel industry. So to be honest, I want to start to say that I'm optimistic in spite of this humanitarian crisis that we're going through. Of course, it's awful, but I think there is a light after this crisis. So going to Luxury Frontiers, I started around 10 years ago, and I wanted to focus, wanted to create something that was meaningful to people and to our environment. And my first focus was capitalizing on experiential travel trends, and that at that time it was a trend. Now it's not a trend anymore. It's here to stay and to grow exponentially. And the core pillar was about, and is about, sustainability, and that was the starting point. And so we want to create something very light structures, very environmentally sensitive and responsible, with utilizing local natural resources, materials, leaving no trace. And then, of course, very important about responsibility, and create something authentic and responsible. And we wanted to create a asset value enhancement solutions for all the stakeholders in the project. So the whole idea was to bring experiential travel concepts established and successful in Africa, and to outside of Africa, to Americas and Asia, and opportunistically to other parts of the world. And so we are, in terms of business model, we design and develop luxury experiential alternative lodges, boutique, resorts in remote areas, in a beautiful natural environment. And everything that we do is authentic, responsible, and of course have to be viable as well.
Fantastic. Peter?
Thank you. I also just want to thank you both for having me. This is a great honor, especially to be able to talk alongside Luca here. I also am very optimistic. I know that a lot of what we'll talk about in this panel is about how important connection is to the outdoors and to Mother Nature. And I think one of the lights at the end of the tunnel, or one of the very important immediate needs in our world, is for people to connect and reconnect with nature. So I'm very excited and optimistic to be here because of that. Collective Retreats is a luxury outdoor experiences brand. We operate retreats across North America that are luxury tent and luxury modular accommodation or tiny home unit retreats, and really providing authentic, connected experiences to the outdoors. We have retreats from Montana to an island right across from the Statue of Liberty, Governor's Island in New York City, a 5-minute private boat ride from Manhattan. And all of our locations include really connected to people, to the place, and to the community. So all of our accommodations are beautiful tents and modular units, but the experience that comes with it is also extremely important, which is really high-end dining. We do these wonderful locally sourced and locally authentic farm-to-table, kind of chef table-side dining experiences. We offer tons of luxury spa services and really cool, authentic, local community connected experiences, like foraging for your own food for dinner with our farmer who's either on property or neighbor, fly fishing, private boat rides around New York City and Manhattan, horseback riding, all sorts of things like that.
Oh, wow. Well, Peter, now let's go into your business model too. So how does it work with Collective Retreat? So you offer all of these experiences. Are you managing all of them? How does that work?
Yeah, so we're a full management company. So our retreats are all operated by our team, Collective Retreat general managers, executive chefs, experience associates, and yeah, so it's a lot like when you think about the management side of it, Ariela, it's a lot like a traditional hotel company, although the experience is anything but a traditional hotel company. So yeah, we own and operate all of our locations, and it's a little bit different from my background was actually in the traditional hotel space. I was at Starwood Hotels and Resorts for 10 years, and it's significantly different from that in that the asset-light business model is just so different than building a traditional resort or hotel, and we take a lot of pride in that because it allows us to be much more environmentally friendly and authentically connected to the outdoors and the place. But we also, one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing is because we find in a lot of ways that the traditional travel model, the kind of old travel model, is just outdated. And so we get to be, alongside people like Luca, we get to be pioneers of a really cool, exciting, authentically connected experience.
And when did you start Collective Retreats?
Yeah, we're now just over 5 years old. So yeah.
That's awesome. And that, Luca, I know your business model is a little bit different. So talk to us about the business model for Luxury Frontiers.
Yeah, we are business to business. We are not business to consumer yet. And the focus is really business to business. So we are a service provider. We look at the project in a very holistic way, where yeah, of course, we have very strong design and development expertise, and we have quite large team, mainly located in South Africa. But we look at the project in a holistic way, in a very experiential way, where 30% of the team has been operating on the field with camps, mainly in Africa or in South America. And so for us, when we go to a project, we look at the experiential script, we look at what the guest will do at the property, at the destination, and we look at the contextual, the context of the project. And so we integrate the operating and the experiential programs into the design of the physical product, and the physical product for us is part of the experiential journey, the experiential for the guest. So we work with hotel owners, with hotel brands, independent players, independent operators, regional, global, and always for third parties. And we create asset value enhancement solutions. In terms of business model, while we do projects, standalone projects, greenfield in remote areas, mainly in Africa and in Asia, here in Americas, we look at also different applications of the same business model, but towards more add experiential rooms to existing properties. Because after 2008, 2010, especially all around the globe, but especially in Americas, there were a lot of properties with a lot of land available banked for future developments. And so our position is to go to existing properties and leverage existing infrastructures, in place infrastructures, amenities, operation, marketing, and create a product, an experiential product that is very different. And can be tents, can be treehouse, can be cabins, can be floating units, can be pods. Anything that is an experiential alternative with a much lower cost because we leverage infrastructures. We also they are, because of that, technically dismantleable, can be built faster, but also in places where traditional buildings are not allowed. The incremental and the development timeline is can be less than 12 months. And so very high speed to market, high speed to construction. And once open, these resorts generate They don't need a ramp up to get to stabilize the operation and generate 20 to 40% premium versus regular inventory. And the incremental operating cost is much lower. And so these projects have very high return on capital, and with incredible series of marketing benefits for the overall property. And media love anything that's sustainable, is experiential, is to have 2 vacations, 1 resort type of marketing. It's nothing very interesting is, and I'm told with some of the properties that we just opened is, one was Camp Sarika in Amangiri in Utah. Here, the first one that we did here in the United States. And then another project that we just completed was, is a boutique property in Ayala in Costa Rica, where we had 29 tents. And in both cases, the rates are 20 to 30% higher than traditional buildings, traditional room rates. And with a high occupancy because there's a scarcity of inventory. And so it's a win-win for everyone. There's something interesting is this, because our experience are different products, different experiences, we can loyalize existing markets, existing customers, but we also widen our target market, because suddenly we can approach clients that are customers that are towards more adventure, more outdoors, more in experiential, looking for more outdoor experiences, and so it's a way to widen the target market.
Oh, wow, so you both have kind of like that asset light type of
it's a
framework.
Yes, we can do projects that are completely light structures, fully removable, leaving no trace on the environment. Another application that we do is working on pop-up hotels, or pop-up seasonal camps, and pop-up hotels is a way also to activate sites quickly, and to where they can be, and it takes years to get a traditional hotel or traditional or residential in place, and we can,
especially ground up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Amy, should we go on to the next one?
Yeah, actually, Luca, you've been primarily global focused, and Peter's, yours has been domestic, with the exception of your first U.S. Site. I would think, based on your business models, although business to business and owned and operated, location is central to sort of your values and your commitment to sustainability and what that means. What is behind the places that you choose and why? I mean, Governor's Island is quite unique, Peter, in terms of a site. Nobody would think of that necessarily as a retreat, but that's I love it.
Yeah. We focus heavily. It's a great question, because frankly, the way that what travelers are desiring is changing, and much more rapidly than I think we even recognize. Mm-hmm. We focus on locations that, one, are authentically connected to the place, right? So if you're going to be in New York City, having a beautiful view of the harbor and the Statue of Liberty is a real authentic New York City connection. If you're going to be in Vail, Colorado, staring at beautiful mountains with no development, no huge condos and things like that, is a really authentic connection to the place. So that's one of the things we focus on. 2 is really special places that will help connect our guests to the outdoors and to the environment in a new way. So for example, I talked about this a little bit before, but being able to have our guests wake up, have a beautiful breakfast under a blue sky and a bright yellow sunshine, and right after breakfast, sending them on a horseback ride right from the retreat with a gourmet sort of chef-inspired packed lunch, is a way to authentically experience the land in Colorado. Plenty of other examples around that. And then 3rd is we look for places where traditional hotels can't necessarily exist. So because of the fact that we have this benefit, Luca was talking about how it's a win-win, which is we get to build retreats at our locations for significantly lower what the cost might be for a traditional building or hotel. We also get to do them in a way that either benefits or has very low impact on the land and the environment. And we get to do it in a way that guests and customers are really seeking to travel. So it's really a win-win-win. Because of that, we're able to look for locations where traditional hotels can't exist, and travel experiences that really broaden the minds of our guests via accessing places where you can't put a traditional hotel. So when we think about locations, first and foremost is, can this location be a really special, authentic experience for our guests? But those other three criteria that I mentioned before are what we look for.
Fantastic. Luca?
I think everything that you, Peter, said, but also I would say, without repeating what Peter said, and so I would say nature is very important, no contamination, visual and noise contamination. It's really, for us, it's really important, genius loci in Latin, that is like spirit of the place, and that is about going back to authenticity and really create something that is so special, so unique to that specific environment, and the guests, that's what they want. They want an authentic, intimate experience, affair with nature. And so remoteness is important, but also accessibility as well is important. And even more now, going to what is going to be the new normal, I think people will travel, will be more traveling to destination and domestic and regional travel. And then so I see tremendous opportunities to places that are in nature, immersed in nature, within 30 to 2 hours, 2.5 hours away from cities. And so I think that is, let's say, was our focus, but will be even more our focus. For my propensity to travel, I always look at outside the United States in the more exotic, wild places. And we have projects all around, but the market, globally, the market is in US. And between 60 to 70%, between 50 to 75% of the guests that go to safari in Africa, to the high-end luxury safari, are all coming from the United States. And so that's why Mangir is one good example to target that clientele. So that is in terms of geography and physical contextual side. But I think for us, it's really important, the alignment with all the stakeholders. We want to work with stakeholders that have the same, we have the same core value, we share the same core values. And more I go, it's not about pitching a fancy tent somewhere, and maybe with under the stars, but it's really all the different layers that we can build for the guest experience and the stakeholders. And so it's really important to have stakeholders that are they have good that they value legacy to the country, legacy to the land, legacy to the community. So for us, biodiversity, community, sustainability are all boxes to check and very deeply. And without those, it's difficult to create something unique and meaningful.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's how everything's been changing, right? It's like this new movement of travel. It's been less on, ooh, okay, I need shelter over my head, but I want to go somewhere where we have the same values and I want something that someone else isn't getting. And we were just talking about this in the prep call, which is, what's happening now, this whole movement of smaller, more intimate experiences has been happening. But now with this new normal, it's just going to come much, much quicker. It already started, but I think what's happening now is kind of like gaslighting that. Peter, I know I interrupted you. No, sorry about that.
I was just going to say the other thing that I know that I think I could speak for Luca on this one. He talked a lot about how, aligning ideals and values with partners is important. Mm-hmm. I think both of us have gotten into the spaces that we're in because of our own passion. So when we look for locations, part of the answer to that question is, like, I worked in traditional hotels for a huge chunk of my career. I grew up working, I started out as a dishwasher in a hotel. I went to university for hotels. I was at a big hotel company for 10 years. When I started Collective Retreats, and I think Luca has a pretty similar story, I started Collective Retreats because I wasn't getting what I was craving from those traditional hotel experiences. And so the idea that we, in addition to all of the specific criteria that we've shared about what makes a location good, what makes a place to travel to good, what's authentically connecting, how values align with partners, we get to find places where there's an X factor, and we get to find and design low impact locations that really connect you to land because we love that land and because we want to be there, and because we see how amazing of an opportunity the place would be to visit and to travel and to experience. So I know our whole team at Collective Retreats is just ultra passionate about authentically unlocking these amazing places. And all of us have chosen to work in the space that we're in and to really make it our life's passion, because we get to choose and unlock the amazing connection of these authentic places. So I think the X factor, in addition to the kind of nuts and bolts criteria and the right fit with partners and things like that, is just places where we want to be in love.
I love, spoken like a true pioneer, both of you. I love hearing that because it's so true. And Peter, your experience coming from the traditional hotel side with BLLA, like we were kind of seeing that whole side too of like, well, you know, lodging is changing, and that's why we also changed our name, because it's like what we think is that you have a boutique experience, right? It's focused around a culture that you're creating, but you can experience it in different ways. You can stay overnight. You can dine with them. You can shop with them. There's all these different ways, but it's about this culture that Luxury Frontiers or Collective Retreats is making. So loved that. If I cheers to that.
I tell you what, I want to add something is you are talking about pioneers, and I remember when Peter started, I had probably only 2 years under my belt, and we were sharing ideas and etc. But I remember, and if you look at it from a different angle, so I think congratulations, Peter, for what you accomplished so far. And but what I wanted to, when I came up with the idea 8-9 years ago, was all because it was all driven by the passion for travel and the passion for nature and the passion for, and I always have been in experiential travel without knowing that it was called experiential travel. And when I came up with the idea, I was going to all the top executives from institutional investors, traditional big hoteliers, and at the top level, low level. I spoke with hundreds of people, and the majority of people said, "Yeah, that's interesting. Luca, you're a cool guy, but this is African stuff. This is safari. This is that it would be good in Africa. I would stay in Africa." And it's, yeah, good luck with that. And I had this response many times. And now after 8 years, 9 years, we have many projects with the same executives, with those same executives, because now they see that it's all these hotel owners, hotel operators, boutique operators, or traditional big brands, everyone need to address this increasing consumer need for experiences, nature, with local, with community, and etc. And so we create a model that is a way to a turnkey solution, let's say, for those hotel owners or those players. So that's interesting how the evolution of this, and okay, let you carry on with the question. Sorry.
No, this is about you sharing your information and your journey with all of us too. I mean, we're learning from you. I'm taking notes like crazy.
Oh yeah.
Trying to keep up.
But let me say like this. So so that was 8 years ago. So now I've been focusing a lot on rewilding, because that's the new thing. And it already was a couple of years working on some projects about regeneration of the environment and the wildlife, biodiversity, and so we're creating projects about conservation and where the hospitality component is the business that can sustain the conservation project. And I thought, okay, this is the new trend, the new thing that will happen, but will happen in a few years' time. And the Western world or outside of Africa is not ready yet. But we said internally that has to be our focus for the future. I'm already thinking about the next thing. And I see this crisis as not only as with let's say reset button, like with any crisis comes with a reset button, but this is a crisis that comes also with a fast forward button. In a sense, we'll accelerate our future towards going to nature, going to the basics, going to rewilding, going to the original habitats. And so what we were thinking 2 years ago, a year ago, now that was going to happen in 5 years' time, probably is going to happen by the end of this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I have chills thinking about the tremendous opportunities that we can create for humankind and for the nature and the rewilding nature and human beings.
If I may, I want to jump to one of our questions because I think you're starting to touch on it, and I think you both have. And it's one of those topics that's close to my heart as well, and that is sustainability. You know, we talk about sustainability, and I know hotels try to do this, and I think it's limiting in what they can do, and yet the experiences that you two have both created is really rooted in sustainability. And I think one of the things that we're also going to be looking at coming out of this is not just saving the land. I mean, we see the beautiful blue skies in LA now. I don't think we've seen them in months, have we? But what
Beautiful.
about mental health and wellness? You know, these retreats are part of that too. And I think after 5 weeks being cooped up, people are needing that break. How do you see that moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we think about, so sustainability is very important to us at Collective Retreats. And I know that the environment and sustainability are very important to Luxury Frontiers as well. There's, you know, almost every culture, or not everyone, but many cultures, and especially ancient ones, have proverbs that talk about how if you impact the world in a way that can't be reversed, and it's not necessarily for the good, you know, that is just sort of culturally and socially not always a good thing. Mm-hmm. And so choose your ancient culture, but almost each of them has a proverb that relates to leaving the land better than you found it, or leaving your place better than you found it. And at Collective Retreats, we really work hard and strive to not impact the land in ways that, even in the short term, on a night-to-night basis, when our guests are there, that damage it at all, but especially when we think about the long term, in ways that are not good for the long term. And so when we think about our construction and our design, we're always designing in ways that don't impact the land and the environment negatively, but also can be reversed if we ever want to, you know, if there's ever a reason to do that. We take a very short-term approach to design, so we're looking to update and refresh our designs every 1 or 2 years, and that doesn't just mean the soft goods and the FF&E. That actually means the physical spaces. So like our luxury tents have had significant changes to design, the way they interact with each other, the bathrooms, the land over the years. We've also introduced our Outlook shelter about 1.5 years ago, which is a modular unit and very low impact on the land. I mean, it really just kind of rolls onto the land and rolls off. And so we like the idea. One of the things that we think is stuffy with traditional hotels, but also that is very helpful for the land, is if you think of design as a little bit more of a progressive animal, and you think of it under the condition that you need to always be leaving the land as you found it, if not better, you can really unlock a lot of what traditional hotels have struggled with over years, which is traditional hotels generally have an asset, you know, a physical asset cycle of 30, 40 years, an FF&E cycle of 12, 15 years, a soft goods cycle of 5, 8 years, whatever it may be. We've tried to unlock that whole model and do it in a way that I was talking about before, that's a win-win-win, that can be lower costs, that can really deliver to the guest what they're looking for and refresh it frequently, and that can be a win for Mother Nature and for the environments that we're in. So we strive really hard from a physical and design perspective to do just that. From an operations and guest experience perspective, there's really two other points. And we have a program called Collective Good, which you can read about on our website, that details all this. But the two other big points are, or three, but I'll cover two today, are from an operational perspective, real sustainability and real environmental helpfulness and friendliness. So we look at permaculture and regenerative practices to actually make the land that we're on better. Traditional hotels oftentimes talk about being green or eco-friendly, but then they have these massive laundry facilities and huge problematic HVAC platforms and all this stuff that just sort of sucks up energy and spits out pollution. And we've rethought all of that operating stuff, you know, obviously simple things like no single-use plastics and operational items like that we focus heavily on. And so how we operate is really number two, and it's something we've focused on a ton. And frankly, unfortunately, we're a luxury brand. I'd say in the last 3 to 5 years, luxury guests have actually been seeking that. I think that's something that maybe a decade ago, luxury guests didn't really connect with. They're like, why am I, you know, not exposed to single-use plastic? I'm paying $500, $1,000 a night. Now there's an expectation where if I'm paying $500, $1,000, $1,500 a night, I actually want to make sure that my values are aligned with the brand that I'm interacting with. And so operationally, that's actually been a pretty satisfying and straightforward thing to do. And then finally, this passion I know is shared by Luca, but we try so hard to design and create experiences where the guest authentically connects to the place, the land, and the community, so that we help inspire their journey to value that place, that land, and that community, and to give back to it. Sometimes giving back to it just means caring and talking about it in conversations with friends and family. Sometimes giving back to it means coming back and actually working on some sort of regenerative project that relates to that place. Sometimes giving back to it is a financial thing. There are so many ways that our guests can much more authentically connect to the environment, the people, and frankly themselves, to inspire real growth in terms of how we think about the world and the environment around us. I know one of, obviously coronavirus has been such a difficult time for so many, and it's been very hard. One of the things I've been inspired by is the fresh air around us. I live in the mountains in Colorado, and wildlife has just retaken over some of our cities and spaces, and it's so cool. I mean, it just, mountain lions or bears are walking down the street. It can be a little scary, but it's an exciting time. And so I'm really hopeful that even with all of the pain and obviously suffering that we're going through with this global pandemic, the optimistic side of me says that hopefully it can help us to really value authentic connection to our land, clean water, clean air, environmental stewardship in a new and different way. So I just, on a personal note, coming through the pandemic that we're coming through right now, which I know is so difficult for so many people, one of the light at the end of the tunnel things that Luca was talking about, I think, is valuing our outdoors, our environment, and the world around us. And I'm excited to see that that's happening even in small and medium ways.
Yeah, myself included. It's really nice to breathe in fresh air.
Oh yeah.
Particularly in LA.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's like I live really close to Malibu, actually. So that's kind of like our family place to go. We haven't been going. I've been trying to be, good. But yeah, I am getting stir crazy. It's kind of like you don't realize you miss it until it's gone. Like fresh air. Like you don't really realize it. And all my friends are saying they are starting to plan trips for like July, buying now, but it's more these types of experiences, not like, I don't know, some giant hotel somewhere like Vegas. I don't think anyone's going to for a while, but these types of experiences, it's not just that they want to, I think everyone needs it. Amy, you were talking about mental health. This can help that a lot.
And in the spirit of you don't miss it until it's gone, Ariela, both Luca and I focus on designing these experiences so that when our guests leave and they're departing from that experience, their mentality has changed and they've grown to appreciate the land, the community, and the space much more than hopefully they did before. We hear it directly from our guests, so we know that it works. It's not always something you can measure easily. You can survey, you can sort of measure sentiment, but our guests tell us so directly that they're grateful for how we've connected them to authentic land, places, community, themselves, the environment.
And it will be more often later. It will be deeper later. Now we're missing nature. We're missing that balance, and I think we need respectfully working with nature, impacting nature in a positive way, and not abusing nature. I mean, I think this is a very crazy day, crazy time, and a very sad humanitarian pandemic crisis. But this is it's another way for nature to say, "Hey guys, this doesn't work. You are abusing us. You're abusing me. You're abusing Mother Nature. You abuse the planet and on ongoing basis. It's not sustainable." And for me, I look at this as we look at it as a company. We look at it as a wake-up call for all of us. And before you were talking about wellness, and I think it's about rebalance ourselves, and if we connect with nature in a respectful way, we can and let nature to inspire us. That's the way for us to recalibrate and.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very, very true. I have an audience question here. Now, we won't say the name. We'll say the new paradigm, which is coronavirus, post-coronavirus. Are your operations going to change once you reopen, and will it affect for your designs going forward? Peter, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, great question. So the answer is a little bit mixed. The answer is yes and no. We have always designed, so we like to talk about Mother Nature as our primary and most favored partner. We don't have central HVA systems. We have Mother Nature. Certainly our rooms units are individually climate controlled, but we don't have hotel lobbies. We have big tents with open air spaces where Mother Nature is your arrival host. We don't have hallways. We have winding pathways through nature where Mother Nature is your guide to your room. We don't have big hotel style function spaces. We have campfires and pavilion tents for meetings that are open to the open air. So to some extent, and I believe Luca would say the exact same thing, to some extent, we've always been designing for this. And our guest rooms are spaced very far apart, right? We don't have guest rooms that are even slightly close to each other. So from a social distancing aspect, what we're offering and what our guests have always been experiencing is frankly what they're craving now. So we feel so fortunate, and it's really, I've been looking for ways to be grateful and have gratitude among such an awful pandemic. We feel so fortunate that our retreats are already so authentically connected to fresh air, Mother Nature, beautiful places, and have significant social distancing, which, people have a desire to have some space and air around them, whether we're going through this terrible time or not. And we've always designed for that. From an operational perspective, the answer is a strong yes. We are doing a lot more. I think like most hotel and travel companies are, we've taken a really hard look at all of our cleanliness procedures, which were already very strong. And how can we update them to do more deep sterilization between stays and things like that? And so we're doing that. We're doing really cool things like we're branding our own version of a socially distanced campfire where the s'more sticks will be 8 feet long instead of long.
I love that.
And certainly we've always had in-room dining as part of our experience, but we're increasing and enhancing that so that if you want all of your meals as in-room dining, you can have them that way, breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. We've recently launched a work from tent program where if people want to get away from working from home, they can, where it's legally okay to, they can come and work from a tent. So we've always had Wi-Fi and connectivity at all of our guest rooms. Frankly, we've actually enhanced that and we've made that stronger so that people can feel more connected in a pretty disconnected time. So broadly speaking, the answer is yes, we are changing significantly how we operate, but most of it is in ways that enhance the experience that we already had. And it's not like a massive shift from we used to do something one way, now we have to do it 180 degrees differently. It's just changing it a little bit to make it a little bit more acceptable and viable in a world where a pandemic is a serious crisis and issue, so that we can provide this amazing experience that our guests are craving. We've been very fortunate. Our retreat in Austin, Texas, Collective Hill Country, the city of Austin has been on lockdown, but the state requirements have allowed us to stay open, and Austin has been easing its restriction. And we keep hearing from our guests there that they're just so happy to get away. It was my birthday, and frankly, we were going to be cooped up at home on another Zoom meeting, and you guys are open and we're able to have this amazing thing. You've updated your operations so that it's safe and healthy. It's our anniversary. We've had elopements, people who were planning big weddings and can't have them, and they're coming for a small, intimate experience. I know our team at Collective Retreats is just so proud and touched that we can offer a luxury connection to nature, even in this weird time. And so we've been evolving a lot around it so that it's much more acceptable, so that social distance is respected, and so that the experience can still be really rich and fantastic through this very difficult time.
Yeah, and so what I'm kind of getting at, though, is that what you've had in place for a very long time is something that more traditional kinds of hotels they're going to be looking up to you now. That's what I'm noticing, is because you were doing this for so long, and I think they were looking at you guys before, but I think, especially on the boutique side, because they can adapt to changes.
Right.
They're going to see your business model too and see how they can put that into theirs as well. We're definitely going to see changes. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But like we were saying, it doesn't mean it has to be bad.
Yeah, but Luca and I have been designing for this. I think I can speak on Luca's behalf. We've been designing physical experience. The physical of what we've been designing, it's not because anybody could ever see this coming. I mean, God forbid, Luca and I work on has been designed from the beginning. For Luca, almost 10 years. For us, 5 years. It's really been designed to have fresh air, space, and Mother Nature be the partner the whole time.
So when did you two meet? I want to
know. Probably 6 years ago, or 5 years. I think before that Peter started. I mean, I remember you had one property open or in planning, actually. But let's say this is not rocket science, and it's not Peter or I that we created anything. Sorry, Peter, but this has been. That's how people travel. That's how the safari in Africa are based on, and it has been there for years and years and years. And unfortunately, they started with tents and for hunting safari. Then also the hunting changed to photographic safari, and then we started with a conservation project, and now. So we are not recreating the wheel. We're just creating tools and programs on how to embrace nature. And that's how it works in Africa with conservation projects. That's how and the conservation project is not just about nature, environment, wildlife, land preservation. It's really about people.
I love that you were talking about running away from Zoom. I think, we've been hearing a lot of panels lately that they're talking it digitally. I think we're all ready to run away. I mean, we're going to be running and flocking to your tents. Yeah. I mean, as much as we're sitting on Zoom right now.
My bag is packed.
I know, right? I got a bag. I could go.
It's not healthy. It's funny. I think it's interesting for me because I worked at a traditional hotel company, Starwood's now owned by Marriott. Mm-hmm. I think that, these super tanker hotels with 2,000 rooms and 8 zillion feet of function space, there's a desire in the hotel industry to just go bigger, 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 scale, scale, scale. And I think it's important that as humans, we have humility. And these super tanker hotels and big, hundreds and thousands of rooms hotels, they've only been around for, I don't know, the last 50 years, or I don't know the exact timeline, but they're beasts, and I love this industry. I love the hotel industry, and I think I really want to see the travel industry. We will travel again, and I really want to see the travel industry come through, and for us all to be happy on the other end. And I'd love to see the economy return and all that kind of stuff. But I think we have to rethink how we design and create experiences, because some of the practices that we've become used to in recent decades or in this generation are probably less sustainable and less viable than we think they are.
Very good point. Very good
Very
point.
good point. Luca,
Yeah.
what do you think of that too? Because I know, Peter, you were mentioning about like the giant hotels, and this is completely the opposite. But like in the prep call, we were saying things have been shifting in travel for so long.
One of the biggest issues, concerns, was about over-tourism. And we go exactly opposite to over-tourism, and we have been doing that for a long time, for some time. And so for us, is and then so after this crisis, of course we go back to travel 100% as fast as possible. Please give me an airplane and I go. Immediately. I think it's about we always focus on high the low impact and high touches model with a high with strong social impact. So that was our model. Is our model. It's not something new. And I think there will be even stronger market demand, and the planet actually is asking for it desperately. So I think it's
yeah, you're kind of opening the door to one of our other questions that I think we had is like, when you started this, you had a certain trajectory of how this would grow, how your business would grow. Based on what you're seeing today, do you see that exponentially changing and moving a little bit more forward based on people seeing what's happening to our Mother Earth and what could potentially be stronger?
100%. I mean, it was. My opinion was already clear that it was the trend that was going towards that direction, and this is just an accelerator that I just mentioned. And it's the experiential, the transformational travel is here to stay, and is to stay for longer. And people want to collect memories versus collect things to dust. And I give you one silly example. A few years ago, my son at that time was 5, was going to be 6. Asked me, "Dad, I don't want any things this year. Or don't give me a present. I don't want anything material. I want something. I want an experience." I thought, wow, that's he's my boy. What do you want? And he said, "Yeah, I want to get dirty. I want to farm. I want to harvest. I want to go and catch fish, and then cook it, and then I want to see monkeys. I want to hear birds." I said, "Perfect. Let's go to Nicaragua." And we spent 4 days with a long list of 100 activities, and we did all of them. And guess what? We went back with the family, with Kim again and again, and that was 4 years ago. We have very strong, vivid memory, and we probably remember for life. And instead, things people give material things, we give within 2 hours, 2 days, 1 month, we forget that we receive them. So it's all about creating meaningful experiences, engaging, enriching experiences that are memorable for a lifetime.
Luca, I'm up and ready for adoption if you want another son.
I know. I'm like,
yeah, me too.
I'm like,
happy to be on the next trip, and I already have the list ready to go. So if you want to do that, I'm ready.
Just sign the papers.
The 3 of us are on a plane to you as soon as we're free.
I agree with Luca. Collective Retreats is a brand built on the power of experiences, and we really strongly believe that an enriching experience can grow and change someone, whereas material goods really don't have that same impact. We have an expression, we sort of talk internally about a scientific fact that humbles us every day, that every breath of air that you take and breathe in and breathe out, the molecules of that air impact every other bit of this earth and the environment. So everything that we do is connected. In this time, that observation and that scientific fact has only become so much more obvious, clear, that everything we do is so connected to each other, whether it's across the globe, across the country, across the city, across our neighborhood. And so, we just feel so strongly that sharing connected experiences. At Collective Retreats, we think about connection as connection to a place, connection to people or a community, and connection to oneself. That connection is just inherently part of who we are, and it's never been more clear than now. And we need to use that connection for good, and experiences, enriching experiences that connect us to each other, to places, to ourselves. That's how we do it.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, we like to always, we're getting close to the end. I don't know if there was any questions that popped up
one thing I wanted to get to, because I've been getting these questions and I've been kind of thinking about it. So we're talking about the more traditional hotel, ground up construction, all that. Mm-hmm. Do you think those kinds of hoteliers, when they look at their expansion plans for the next 5 years, do you think that they're going to be adding these kinds of experiences or these types of assets? What do you guys think?
1000%.
Yeah, I think so too.
That was the vision 10 years ago, is to go to existing properties and add experiences, experiential rooms, plug and play concept, and worked well, and we'll be working even more. But of course, there are natural assets have to be there. The magic has to be there. Otherwise, it's more difficult. But for sure, it will happen.
Yes.
Sorry, you may hear Scarlett, a beautiful golden retriever in the baccount.
Oh, they're so sweet.
Oh, I love dogs.
They're so cool.
I would say if hoteliers, hotel developers aren't thinking about things differently, they're crazy. I think that we really have to think hard about what historically has just been a desire to grow travel and grow rooms and grow space and bigger. I think that if we're not thinking about that differently now, one, we're crazy, because the idea of being in a multi-100,000 square foot ballroom at this moment is just kind of insane. But two, we have to absolutely focus on creating a future for generations to come, and treating and impacting this earth, the environment, carbon emissions, the land differently than it's been done before. And I just really hope that people are taking pause right now and using this as an opportunity to reflect and consider that for the future, because if we don't, we're not going to have a future.
Absolutely. We got an interesting question, by the way, that kind of like a little bit disgusting, but I'm wondering it too. Constantine, thank you for asking this. How do you design for human waste? Because I actually get that question a lot too. Like the bathroom. What is the bathroom situation here? So Peter, do you want to start with Collective Retreats? What do you guys do?
It depends on the location. We always look for the solution that's most environmentally friendly. We do feel that it's important to bridge a barrier between people and nature. So we don't look for a compromised bathroom. We do really full luxury bathroom experience, because we've found that historically, if there's a compromised bathroom experience, that all of a sudden there's a big audience of people that become less interested in connecting to the place. And so we've designed a lot for that. The answer to your question is all of our locations have very real bathrooms with real toilets that fully flush, and with, certainly reduced water consumption, with real showers. They're as low flow as they can be, and we waste as little as possible, and real bathrooms and sinks. Depending on the landscape, we do different things. There are certain regenerative practices with permaculture that we do in certain places. In other places, based on restrictions and things like that, you may have to have the right septic system that can be pumped out, but it just varies from location to location based on the land. And that's how we should be thinking about the earth, right? There's not a one size fits all that should be applied to every space or place. You need to design appropriately so that you're doing what's best for the environment in a microclimate and microenvironment.
I see. Luca, a question came for you. They're wondering, like, going back to your business model, like how do you make money? Like, so does another hotel pay you for a project, for construction? How does that work?
You're talking about the add-on. We basically can provide a design to build solution, turnkey solution for working for third parties. So working for the landowner, hotel owner. And then we create additional rooms that are experiential rooms that are they are rented, they are managed by the same operator that manage the existing hotel. So it's basically creating new rooms that are new room inventory and leveraging infrastructures, amenities. And so it's a new product. It's about market diversification and product diversification.
I see. Awesome. Amy, are there any other audience questions you think we can get to?
There's quite a few, but I don't know. Being respectful of everybody's time, we're just past the hour. But I do want to, and I want to leave this last question because what we like to ask. It's Friday. We're going into the weekend. We want to leave on a positive note. How are you both? You guys are both so inspirational in what you've done and what you've created. How do you continue to stay inspired, particularly under this? What advice or what can you share with the audience on staying inspired and looking towards the future?
Yeah, I like to Mother Nature to, and then we go back to always to Mother Nature, but I think Mother Nature is so powerful and can inspire us. We should let Mother Nature inspiring us. And we do, and that allows to inspire us on the design. For example, we do a project in Mexico now that is all about cocoons designed with metamorphosis from a butterfly or a caterpillar. So it's all the Mother Nature. If we embrace the values and the process and the balance, it can be integrated into our inspiration of our design, but also our soul, we can rebalance ourselves with the nature power.
Yeah, so I mean, Luca stole my answer, so I'll give my other answer, which I would say equally as inspirational for me. Is I've been taking a lot of inspiration. I have a brother and some close friends who are doctors, and I'm just so touched and inspired by everyone who works in healthcare and all those who work in essential services, whether it's things that we might have used to take for granted, like delivery folks and people working at grocery stores, or the people who we've always acknowledged as public servants, like police officers, people who work in the healthcare system, doctors, nurses, and everyone. I'm just so inspired and touched by those people. And I think that seeing smiles on their faces has been a positive thing that's inspired me hugely.
Awesome.
Oh, I love that. What a great session. I always love hosting with you, Amy. This is the first time Amy and I have co-hosted together. So thank you.
We could probably keep both of you on the phone for another hour or two and dive into a lot more deeper. But unfortunately, we only have this hour overview.
Yeah, so we want to be respectful of everyone's time, like you were saying. Thank you. We call you guys boutique educators and guest stars. It's all about keeping the conversation going. We know we're not alone. We're a community, especially the boutique side. We're a family. There's the hospitality industry, but then there's the boutique side of all that. And thank you to everyone here. To the audience, I want to share my screen with you really quickly just for some last minute reminders. So first of all, please subscribe and follow us on YouTube and all of our speakers. They all have great social media platforms. Give us some social love. We'll give you some social love back. Stay engaged with us. And also, if you have any questions, I will get a transcript of everyone that put a question into the Q&A box, and I'll be sending it to our guest stars. But also just feel free to reach out and say hello, even if you just want to say hi. info@bla.org. I bet Luca, Peter, Amy, they all want to say hi to you as well. We can send along any messages, and please use the hashtags Boutique Strong and Save Boutique Hotels. Now, we have a saying, stay home, stay safe, and stay boutique. And I guess we'll just say bye to everyone. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
We'll have to have a reunion. How about that?
Sounds
I like
great.
that. Hi, everyone.
Campfire.
Yeah, with 8, what is it? 8 feet?
Okay.
There we go. Bye, guys.
Great weekend, everyone.